looking out, keep getting clout. This is what it's about. We love teaching. There is no time. They programmed your mind. Construction blind. We not sleeping. Come join the love, come join the fun, and call it education. Let's get profound. Let's uncover all of the deep, arcane things. Good looking out, good looking out, good looking out with no parachute. Come join the love, come join the fun, and call it education. Let's get profound. Let's uncover all of the deep, arcane things. Good looking out, good looking out, good looking out with no parachute. Good looking out, good looking out, good looking out with no parachute. Diego, we gon' go. Diego, we gon' go. Diego, we gon' go with no parachute. Let's go. We going to go with no parachute. Let's go. Go, go. Let's go.
I like that song. Peace. Salam alaikum. Namaste. Shalom. Shalom. Hotep. Jumbo. Ashe. Yatahe. All the greetings of love and light to the darkest minds of the light. I am Nepashida. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I am doing a series, if you've been watching it all, called The Sons of God. The Bene Elohim is also another way to say sons of God, but it's really the children of God. And in this series, I'd like to go all the way back, as far as we know with historical record, back to the Canaanite pantheon, exploring the polytheism of the people of that ancient region of Canaan, the Near East region, where we know there is historical record of the Israelites living in that part of the world during the time the Bible is written. And of course, in the Bible, there are several references to these Canaanite gods. And the common theme, or the I'd say foundation of the teachings of the Bible, hinge upon not worshiping those gods of any other god, especially the gods that are mentioned, such as Asherah, Baal, who else? Basically just Asherah and Baal. Some of it you might see a not in the Bible, but just to not worship these gods. We're going to go into some background on the title I have here, of course. If you see, it says the mother goddess Asherah, revered and consulted by Israelites. And with this channel and with me, if you know anything about me, I always teach the I teach the esoteric of the Bible. And what do I mean by that, if you're not familiar? The arcane, the esoteric, the hidden, not so obvious part of the biblical text. You will find certain things that you wouldn't actually find on the surface. And the thing about that, like along with all ancient texts that we have today to read, is that a lot of times during translation, some things may be lost or purposefully taken out. purposefully hidden. We talked about the Masoretes, how they purposefully remove a lot of the polytheistic writings that are in the biblical text to preserve, or shall I say, push a more monotheistic religion, which is, we know, the Israelites moved into a monotheistic, what we could really say monolatrous uh, way of worshiping of God. They said only worship Yahweh or Yahweh. So what we're doing is we're going to uncover that, and that's why I say the darkest mind is the light, because you go profoundly, the deeper you go, the darker it gets. But then the light, you are enlightened and you get the knowledge and the wisdom when you go beneath the surface. So we're not exoteric. We're going to go esoteric with this. This is going to be fun because you're going to see a lot of neat. When I say neat, it's like cool little things that you can look in the Bible and say, oh, wow, that does connect to something outside of the Bible, or something that I was told is not supposed to connect it. What am I talking about? Getting back to the mother goddess Asherah. So I will kick this off with, oh, by the way, please hit the like button. And I forgot to add something. Let me get some stuff added here. Give me 1 second, please. While I'm doing so, you can definitely hit the like button and share. All right, so that was my intro. Now, that my intro isn't on the other channels. Sorry about that, but I did a great intro. If you want to hear the intro about what I'm doing here, you can always go to the R.I.S.E channel, my Napasha channel. I hope you have gone there and subscribed. But if you haven't, please do so now, and watch me on any channel in the platform. However, I did do an intro. I'm not going to obviously say exactly what I said before, but basically I'm doing a series, the Ben Elohim, which is translated as the sons of God, which is also the children of God, where I am examining the esoteric of the Bible. And you don't even have to go that deep to see the connection of the polytheistic worship that took place in the Near East in ancient times, especially focusing on Canaan. And that is even extra biblically. You can see all these gods that are in the, well, not all, but the main gods that are in the Ugaritic myth, in the Ugaritic text. You can see Baal, El, Asherah, and there might be a reference also. You could see Anat in the actual biblical text when you go back into the Bible. So I'm going to show, as I said, I call it cool, because you're going to see a connection between what is written in the actual biblical text on the surface and what is told outside this, above this. On the surface, you'll see something in the text, right, in the Bible. But underneath the surface, esoterically, in the hidden part, you'll see, oh, this is a reverence to the goddess Asherah. Okay, why are we going to be able to do that? Well, it's not just for gits and shiggles. It's because the ancient people who are known as the Israelites, they did reverence these gods, and they continue to reverence those gods, even if we follow, the stories in the Bible, the travels of Abraham, the forefather, up until another forefather, Jacob. If you see their progression throughout the Bible, you see that they go from worshiping these gods. They are pretty much polytheistic, and then they become we're supposed to think they're monotheistic, and that's what was pushed by the Yahwist and the Deuteronomists, but really they are monolatrous. And monolatry, if you've even looked at any of my series, it is the worship of only one God, the acknowledgement of the existence of other gods. And of course, that's all biblical. So let's look at this. So the title, this is my series, and in this part of the series, we're going to look at the mother goddess. I know this is hard for a lot of people because of the very deep, I'm going to say the very deep patriarchal teaching and the removal of the mother from the worship. When we look at the Bible logically, I always say you look at the microcosm to see the to see the macrocosm, meaning you look at the little world to see the bigger outside of the world that's bigger. What do I mean? If you know that the unit, the nucleus, the nuclear, I should say, the nuclear family is father, mother, child, then it's not a far stretch to say in the actual worship of gods, when people, I talked about the bicameral mind, remember, stay with me, Julian Jaynes, we talked about the formation of consciousness and a higher, less primal consciousness, a more advanced, intelligent consciousness, where people started to anthropomorphize, Lord, it's late. Anthropomorphize, anthropomorphize. I am tripping right now, y'all. Give me a second. Hey, you know me. I'm so, okay, thank you. Ooh, anthropomorphous girl. What is wrong with you? Y'all know that's my word. Anthropomorphize. Jeez, anthropomorphize. Hope everybody got a good laugh off that, because I sure did. Anthropomorphize. Oh my goodness. It is 2:00 in the morning where I am, but I'm doing this. Anthropomorphize. To anthropomorphize actually means you take a god and you give it human features. Jesus, I love you. All right. So where was I? So with the consciousness, the intelligence started to develop more, and from the primal part of your consciousness, and people started to anthropomorphize God. And in that, when we were doing that, we started to say, okay, well then God must have a wife, and God must have children. So that's what I tried to get out of the way. And now, without further ado, I'm going to show you the mother goddess, Asherah, and that mother goddess was very much revered and consulted by Israelites. I'm telling you, I am so tired, but I'm going to do this because I want to keep this series going. So please forgive me. Please forgive me. Let me get to my first article that I'm going to put up here. Oh, and I was mentioning, this bothers you, if you're triggered by people discussing this topic, this isn't to incite any type of anger in anyone. It's really to show the truth and uncover what is really written and what is really the history of the worship that we have today, which is the Israelite culture, or the Israel culture. We have the Tanakh, and even we have the Gospels, and we have the Pauline letters, and the different attestations of the apostles. So that's the Bible, okay? It's not just a book that's been translated, something that's been translated by King James group of scholars. I know people are like, King James didn't translate it. So I think this should be interesting to a lot of people if you want it. If you don't, what does it say? Spit out the bones, just take the meat. So let me get the first article I want to start with, because we need to get a background, like I said, on what was going on. It's too late for me. As you see, I was struggling with the word that I obviously know and use all the time, anthropomorphize. And so I'm going to do something hopefully later today about just what happened with the Deuteronomist, and when we look at the books, talk about the exile and the Deuteronomist historians, those Deuteronomistic historians who did a lot of tweaking and changing of the Bible. Let's be serious. Let's be real with it. And when they went in with the whole Yahwist ideals and the agenda to put it in a perspective where, oh, see, God, the reason we went into captivity is because God is punishing us because we were worshiping other gods, and we were supposed to not worship other gods, because when we came out of Kemet, we were told to abandon the gods that we worshiped before. If you look at, by the way, if you look at the scriptures, if you look at the Bible, like in Genesis especially, the first book of the Bible, the first book of the Torah, you'll see that there's not really any prohibition. I mean, there may be a couple, overtones of it, but there's no prohibition of worshiping other gods. It's pretty much, you see, oh, well, Abraham was told to leave Ur, and Abraham did not want, God said, just, leave and don't worship those gods. It's more understood than blatantly expressed in Genesis. So why am I saying that? Because the people that are of the book worshipped other gods, and they revered other gods. So without in taking much longer, let me go ahead and get this first article that I want to read to you. Just to give you some scholarly perspective, not to just be sitting up here running my soup coolers. Oh, okay, let's get this out of the way here. All right, let me see what's going on here. Oh, Asar Sechem says, what do you say about Paul saying Israelites are actually Ishmaelites and are not God's chosen people? You have to give me the scripture on that. Okay. Thank you for your input at this hour. So let me read this article for everyone who is tuning in, and let's get to it. All right, this is an article written by Claude Mariottini. Claude Mariottini, Emeritus Professor of Old Testament, Northern Baptist. Hold on a second. I'm trying to get this up here. Can you see it okay? Northern Baptist Cemetery. Oh, cemetery. See? Told you I'm tired. Seminary. Oh my God. Okay. There has to be a little levity in this because I'm always funny. But I'm tired as hell. But I'm doing it. I want you to understand and appreciate me doing this series. I do. Usually I'll be like, oh, I'll do another one, and then I won't, and you guys, anybody who follows me, they'll be like, oh, Nepal say she'll do this, and then she gets, sidetracked, or, life is lifing. So I'll want to do a series, and I'll say, okay, maybe I'll do it, and then I'll leave it alone. But I'm really pushing myself to keep doing this series, because I haven't done one for a while, and it's super late, but I'm still doing it. So I said seminary. Oh my gosh. Geez, poor guy. I hope he's okay. All right, so let's read this. All right, let me read a background on him before I get into it. So, Dr. Claude Mariottini is the Emeritus Professor of Old Testament and Northern Baptist Seminary. He was born in Brazil, graduated from California Baptist College, Golden Gate Baptist Seminary, the Southern Baptist Seminary, and he has done additional graduate work at the Graduate Theological Union. He's pastored churches in California, Kentucky, Missouri, and Illinois. So he's a believer. I hope this helps some people out there who are, implying that I'm trying to turn people away from God or do some kind of, I don't know, pagan witchcraft, whatever. So this is the first person I'm referencing, but I digress. So he's published more than 200 articles and book reviews in English, Spanish, and Russian. His academic works have been published in the Anchor Bible Dictionary, the Mercer Dictionary of the Bible, the Holman Bible Dictionary, Jewish Bible Quarterly, Perspective in Religious Studies, the Expository Times, wow, and Old Testament Abstracts, Catholic Biblical Quarterly, the Journal of Biblical Literature, and Biblical Archaeologist. All right, so he's a heavy hitter. Let's see what he has to say. This is an article from June 12th, 2014. Israel and Canaanite religion. This is my third. Oh, so he's speaking in the first person, obviously. This is by Dr. Mariottini. See, I almost said Marionetti. Y'all, stay with me. Just laugh at me stumbling and let's just keep it moving, okay? Who's seen that video of the robot that's doing the Michael Jackson dance? Who has seen that? Okay, if you're listening to playback even, who's seen the, like, I think it's like in Korea or Japan or China or something, they have a robot doing the Michael Jackson dance, the moonwalk and everything, and he fails horribly. Poor thing. I said he, but it's an actual robot. It's not male or female, but it's funny. That's what I'm doing. I'm just stumbling along, but I'm going to get this dance out. I'm going to finish this dance if it's the last thing I do. So I digress once again. So let me get back on track. This is my third. So this is from, obviously, Dr. Mariottini. This is my third article in the book of Judges. The links for the two previous posts in the book of Judges are listed at the end of this post. It is a fact that the greatest challenge Israel faced in maintaining its relationship with Yahweh or Yahweh and keeping the demands of the covenant was its encounter with Canaanite culture and Canaanite religion. During the days of Joshua, the main concern of the people of Israel was the conquest of the land and the settlement of the tribes. Before Joshua died, he assembled all the tribes of Israel together at Shechem. Present at that convocation were the representatives of the people, Israel's leaders, elders, judges, and all officers came to Shechem to renew the covenant before God. Joshua 24, verse 1. These people represented the new generation of Israelites. They were the descendants of those who had perished in the wilderness. When the people were together, Joshua urged them to abandon the pagan gods their ancestors had worshipped. This is a quote. Now fear the Lord and serve him with all faithfulness. Throw away the gods your forefathers worshipped beyond the river and in Egypt, and serve the Lord. Joshua 24, verse 14. After Joshua challenged the people to be faithful to Yahweh, the people answered, quote, far be it from us that we should forsake the Lord to serve other gods. For it is the Lord our God who brought us and our ancestors up from the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery, and who did those great signs in our sight. Joshua chapter 24, verse 16 through 17. But after the death of Joshua, let me just make sure that I can be heard. Goodness, I'm gonna be reading. Can I be heard if you are still there? Okay, thank you. I will look into that. Let me just summer jam it so I'll remember. Okay, thank you. Can you hear me? Am I coming in clearly? I'm coming in clearly, right? Yes, I think I am. All right, we'll see. I'm gonna play back. Back to reading. So this is very important that I lay this foundation first to give you some background, a little background. I said I'll go further into it when I do a stream on the Deuteronomist and the pushing for the monotheism. However, this is just showing people, okay, give me some background on how it progressed from polytheism, even coming, of course, going into Kemet, there was polytheism with the Israelites in the story. They were polytheistic. They did have one God. Remember, I said it's very in Genesis, you don't see really prohibition, strict prohibition of the worship of other gods. Is there a focus to worship one God in a monolatrous way? Yes. But in Genesis, when you see progressing up to the Exodus, you see them going into Kemet with their gods of that region, which would be Baal, Asherah, El. And then when so they go into Kemet, and then there are other gods. There's a Neteru in Kemet. And so they pick up those gods. And then when they exit in the Exodus, they have these customs and these traditions and doctrines and of worship, all these ways of worshiping and serving these gods, right? So when they come out, they receive the covenant from Moses, which is strictly prohibiting that. Does that mean they just dropped it? Of course not. They didn't just drop it. It was ingrained in their lives. It's a very hard thing to do. Stop worshiping a God that you've known for generations, or gods that you've known from generations, or even acknowledging and exalting or revering. Again, I said they were more monolatrous. There was monolatry where they praised one high God. Just actually same thing in the Eucharist, in the Canaanite pantheon. There was one high God, El, and then there were the sons of God and the children of God, Anat, Baal, Yam, so on and so forth. So let's get back to this, the writing, giving us some background on what was going on when they, with Joshua and with the people when they were after the Exodus. So, but after the death of Joshua, another generation grew up after them who did not know the Lord or the work that he had done for Israel. Judges chapter 2, verse 10. What set apart this new generation of Israelites is that they departed from the ways of the Lord and were not as faithful to God, the highest God, right? The God that delivered them out of Israel. Remember, you knew me as El, but now I'm Yahweh, I'm Yahweh. So they weren't as faithful to that God as the people in Joshua's generation had been. The expression, quote, did not know the Lord, does not express ignorance of the demands of God, because they definitely had the covenant, they had the Torah, right? It rather is an expression that means the people did not acknowledge that Yahweh was their only God. Thus, the expression does not mean ignorance, but unfaithfulness to Yahweh, to God. Of this new generation, the writer of Judges wrote, quote, the Israelites did what was evil in the sight of the Lord and worshiped the Baals. Here we go. Now, sidebar, you have a lot of people saying, oh, Asherah doesn't mean the goddess Asherah, it means just a tool. Oh, El doesn't mean the god El, it's just a title. Oh, Baal doesn't mean the name of the god Baal, it just means Lord. So as you see here, it even says the worship of Baals, they're saying several different, they're just bunching all of the worship of idols together and calling them plural, Baal, plural. That is a way to title it and make it not a proper noun. However, it is a title for the gods that were actually gods. It's saying idols, but it's using the actual proper name of an actual God that they actually worshiped. So remember, when you hear people fighting you tooth and nail, like our brother Kassad and a lot of other people that say, no, it's not that. It is a title, or it's not a proper noun. It's not a real God. No, it is. There is a gray area, and it's often interchangeable, and there's often a thin line between, are they calling it, is it just a common noun, or is it a proper noun? So, perfect example here. Don't let anybody fool you and take a broad brush and say, oh, that just means that's just a title. That's not really El, or that's not really Baal. They didn't really worship Baal. They didn't, yes, they did. Oh, that's not God. That's not Yahweh and the actual goddess Asherah. Yes, it is. Yahweh, which is the desert god of the Midianites, which wasn't in the original Ugaritic myth and the Ugaritic pantheon, was replaced later. That calling, you see it in the Bible. You don't know me as El Elyon anymore. Now your forefathers knew I was El. Now I'm Yahweh. That's actually written in Exodus when Moses is communicating at the burning bush. Okay, so Yahweh and Asherah, it's El and Asherah. Those were the god and goddess of goddess. That was the god and goddess, the mother goddess and the father goddess of all the other gods in the Ugaritic pantheon. However, people were very radical about monotheism, who get very, very angry and bloodthirsty when you show them this truth. They want to keep this truth away from you for some reason. They don't think that you can handle it. They don't think that your faith in the Most High is strong enough. So they're really changing the word, and that's prohibited in the Bible. It says don't take away or add to this scripture. So many over millennia have taken away and many have added, and it's even happening today. And so we're just gonna dig past the surface as we're doing and look at the truth. So let me just really check here. So, thank you, Tahuti. Peace. Okay, great. Thank you, Asar. Let me get back to reading this. So the expression, we already said that they were worshiping Baals, and they abandoned the Lord, the God of their ancestors, who had brought them out of the land of Egypt. They followed other gods, but guess what? They were following those gods before they went into the land of Egypt, picked up some Egyptian gods, which are called Neteru. So now they've got the Canaanite gods that they worshiped, and then they picked up the Kemetic gods that they revered and worshipped and put up offerings to and believed in. And then Moses takes them out of Kemet. They've been worshiping their Canaanite God and El and his Asherah, Baal, Anat, and then they're worshiping Sekhmet, Hathor, Het-Heru, and they're coming and they come out, and then they're like, Moses is like, look, we're getting this together. Y'all aren't worshiping those other gods anymore, or you're going to be put to unalived. We're putting you to the dust. So they were in fear, but they still worshiped. And so the authors of these stories, which we're reading a quote about them, they're doing evil. Of course, these were the people who were trying to get them together and get them under control, saying that when I talk about the Deuteronomy, see, I told you y'all, the Deuteronomy, the Deuteronomist. Whoo, I am struggling today. What in the world? You know what? I should have had some coffee. The Deuteronomist went in and they pushed the Yahwism, of course, pushing Yahweh, pushing Yahweh. They went in and said, we're going to write this in, especially from Judges. Okay, we're going to talk about the captivity, the exile. We're going to talk about how things were written and changed. So they go in and they're like, okay, we're going to put in this theme that when they're worshiping these gods, this is why God punishes us, because they're so evil. All right. I am, Tehu, do you know I never struggle like this with speech, but when I get tired, it's a struggle. I haven't been getting, as you see, when I was doing the Carmelo Anthony streams, oh my gosh, that one drained me. I was up for 10 hours doing that, but it was very important. So my sleep debt is piling back up. So, yeah, you guys know what it is, though. Hey, I'm human. My brain says one thing, but then my mouth is like, and my articulation is like, we're half asleep over here, so you are on your own, pretty much. We'll give you 50%. Okay, so anyway, it says the Israelites did what was evil in the sight of the Lord and worshiped the Baals, and they abandoned the Lord, the God of their ancestors, who had brought them out of the land of Egypt. They followed other gods from among the gods of the peoples who were all around them and bowed down to them. And they provoked the Lord to anger. They abandoned the Lord and worshiped Baal and the Astartes. There it is, Astarte. That's another goddess. That was in Judges. Okay, so moving right along. Damn, I don't know why I keep doing that. Hold on. Let's get this. I'm gonna take a look. Oh, I'm doing great. Thank you so much. Let's see here. That is why the Lord, come on, I'm a little tongue tied. I will be the first to laugh at myself with the tongue being tongue tied, but it's okay. I have a reason, so it doesn't, at least I'm not up here just not knowing what I'm talking about, because this information doesn't matter if I'm saying it, if whatever you see me bring out on this, y'all, keep it in your arsenal. When you want to talk to people and people approach you about, oh, other gods in the Bible, you'll be able to be like, oh, really? What's that saying? They say, oh, hold my beer. And you'll be able to get all this information and go, actually. So let's see what's said. That is why the Lord is so patient with us, why he is so free with mercy. He looks at us and knows that we are doomed to die. That is why he is so willing to forgive us. Known, unknown, thank you for being here. All right, so I just took a look in the chat to see what's going on. Let's get back to this article. Again, I know this is you guys just kick back, girls just kick back, ladies, gentlemen. I'm just reading this first to let you know some background on what was going on when people were told, all right, time to just never worship any of these other gods, or you can just take a whole dirt nap. When the covenant, the Torah came out. So the reason for this apostasy is not hard to understand. The time of the judges was a time of transition for the people of Israel. After the exodus from Kemet, from Egypt, Israel spent 40 years in the wilderness. During these years, God fed the people by providing manna for them. Although we do not have a clear understanding what manna was, the Bible says manna was like coriander seed, white, and the taste of it was like wafers made with honey. Exodus chapter 16, verse 31. In another place, the Bible says manna was like coriander seed, and its color was like that of gum resin. People gathered it, ground it in mills, or beat it in mortars, then boiled it in pots and made cakes of it. And the taste of it was like that which tastes of cakes baked with oil. Numbers 11, verse 7 through 8. Okay, so he goes into describing a little manna there. Thus the Lord fed the Israelites for 40 years, quote, until they came to a habitable land. They ate manna until they came to the border of the land of Canaan. Good old Canaan. They're back again, right? Exodus chapter 16, verse 35. Once they entered the land of Canaan, and once they occupied of the land, the people had to learn how to eke out an existence from the ground. It is here where the conflict, this is very important. So I hope you tune in and put a bookmark on this timestamp. It is here where the conflict between two opposing religious views comes into conflict with each other. Now, thank you, Dr. Mario Tini. However, we do also know that these worshipers were already worshiping the gods of Canaan before they went into Kemet. So these gods were not new to them once they left Kemet in the Exodus and then entered Canaan. Again, basically, it wasn't. But we're going to keep reading. I just want to interject with that. So let's see. It is here where the conflict between two opposing religious views comes into conflict with each other. Canaanite religion was a fertility religion. 100%, this is great. This is very good point here. The essence of this conflict was the tension between the semi-nomadic religion of the Israelites and the settled elements of the Canaanite religion. Remember, that's why Dr. Marionetti talks about them being in the desert just eating manna all the time, okay? So now they're like, ooh, we're in a new place, and we can do something here. It's not like a dried up desert. We can actually do something here. The Hebrew God was different from the gods of the Canaanites. Remember the desert god Yahweh that they picked up from the Midianites, that they named their god. They did a new and improved thing, but they still had the Canaanite goddesses, and they still had the Neteru. But they were like, hey, this God, Yahweh, is getting us through this desert. And we're listening to Moses. We're listening to Joshua. It's looking like, hey, they're right. I'm not going to be, these Canaanite gods are not doing anything for us in this desert right now. I am praying for watermelon and cucumbers, and I'm getting manna every day. So I get it. Moses is right. I'm just going to focus on the worship of Yahweh, because Yahweh is doing this, is delivering us. Yahweh gave us water. Yahweh is giving us this manna. Ooh, I saw what happened over there with Korah and everybody getting swallowed up into that to the dirt, to the dust. I'm going to worship this God Yahweh, but I do so remember when we did worship the God of Canaan, and then we went into Kemet, because that God of Canaan we were getting hungry. I'm just giving you like an idea of how this actually, you can see this in the Bible. When before Jacob and his 12 sons and their children all went into Kemet, they were starving, remember? There was a famine. And then they went into Kemet, and they're like, okay, this is more like it. Well, what do you call the Neteris? All right, okay, I could do this. I can rock with this. Not saying that we don't love, we are still monolatrous. We do love Yahweh, but we kind of like, all right, I guess I'll do this little thing to best and protect my children. Get it? So when it's just human nature. They were appealing to the gods for the environment, but they weren't abandoning their gods. They weren't. And the truth is in the Bible, but the spin is that, oh, they're wicked, and this is why God punished us. And the truth is in the extra biblical information, the historical information. So it says, it is here where they had the conflict. They had this semi-nomadic religion of Yahweh, the Yahwist, the Yahwism. And then they had the elements of Canaan, the polytheistic religion, which they were very familiar with before they went into Kemet. They were familiar with it in Kemet. They were familiar with it before they went into Kemet. And then in the desert for those 40 years, they were just like, it's just Yahweh. Now they're back in the land of Canaan, right? So the Hebrew God was different from the gods of the Canaanites. The Canaanites were farmers. This is so important. Let me look in the chat real quick just to give you guys a quick look. Okay, Baal is often depicted in Levantine art standing on the back of a bull or wearing a helmet adorned with bull horns. Yes, thank you for that. That's true. And okay, you do great connect. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that so much, and I love your comments. I'm so glad you're here listening. This is information you probably are familiar with, but yeah, I really appreciate that. So the part that I'm reading now that I appreciate from Dr. Marionetti, Mariottini, you just when I thought I was getting it cleaned up, right? Mariottini. All right. And you will be able to look at his work, obviously, on your own. He has so many great books. I got to get a couple of his books. But anyway, this is the important part, because when they come out of the desert, right, worshiping the God Yahweh, This is the desert God. In fact, this is the God of the desert. The Midianites showed Moses everything. Like Jethro even goes and does a sacrifice in the Bible to Yahweh. So this is the God this is the God that they have brought with them from the desert. And now this God is different from the Canaanite God, because the Canaanite God is the God of the farmers. Canaanites were farmers. The Israelites were shepherds, and they're coming out of the desert, right? The gods of the cycle of planting and of harvesting were foreign to Israel. Well, that's Dr. Klotz's take on it, because we know that is not completely true, because even though they were nomadic, even though, yes, they were shepherds and they were nomadic, 100%, when we look at Abraham and Lot, the story, we look at Jacob with his father-in-law, Laban, we get it. Yes, they are definitely shepherds. They are definitely nomadic. However, they weren't unfamiliar with the gods of Canaan. That's all I want to say. So the Israelites were shepherds. The gods of the cycle of planting and harvesting were foreign to Israel, a people who served the God of migration. If we look at this in context of what Dr. Mario Tini is telling us, he's saying they're coming out of the desert after a very long period of time, after a very traumatic experience. They went into an exodus. They were in the desert, a lot of hardship there, and they were worshiping, or they started to worship the one God, Yahweh, which was the God of everything, but it was also originally, it was the desert god of the Midianites and people of that region, right? So now they're out again and they're back and they're like, okay, but remember their mindset is like, okay, I go to this God for that, I got to go to this God for this. When I need that, I got to go to the other God. Excuse me. So they're in Canaan now, and they're still worshiping Yahweh as the only God, right? Excuse me, I needed some water. So, but they're like, well, these people are farmers, and this is how they call on Baal for the rain. I remember Baal. Yeah, okay. Well, Asherah for childbirth and for trees, and okay, I'll try it. This is what happened. Oh, so the Canaanites believed that the fertility, talking about their gods, right? Who the Israelites are familiar with. They're just not worshiping that God anymore. They're not worshiping them really, because they would have gotten unalived in the desert doing all that. But anyway, and many of them did. So the Canaanites believed that the fertility of the land was the work of their god Baal, the rain god, the storm god, right? The Israelites did not know whether Yahweh, the God that they of the Torah, could provide them with abundant crops. So the question became whether to please the fertility gods of Canaan, or solely, it doesn't say solely, but that's what I understand, or depend on Yahweh for their survival. Remember, this is a new place. It's not that they didn't think, oh, this is only one God. Yes, this God got us to the desert and we'll never abandon this God. But I remember Baal is the god of storms. Before I knew Yahweh in the desert, Baal was bringing them rainstorms, y'all. Get what I'm saying? That's what they were doing. So they're like, okay. So Israel decided to do both. Ding, 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 ding. That is why we see that actual in historical evidence, archaeological evidence, and extra biblical evidence, as well as in the Bible, because they say, but the narrative is, and they were wicked when they did that. Okay, so it says Israel decided to do both. They would worship Yahweh, and at the same time, they would also please the other gods of the land. That is monolatry. And that is what happened. And that is what happened up until all the way up to the New Testament. There's archaeological evidence, historical evidence that that worship was going on even during the time of Christ. Yes. So, now, by the way, am I trying to push this? No. Am I saying it's good or bad? No, I'm just showing you. I'm not putting my feelings into this about what I believe. I'm showing you what it was and what it is actually in the Bible. And when I say in the Bible, I mean over time and how the people progress. Because if you really think about it, there's such a such a two-dimensional, I told you my brain, two-dimensional way of looking at the story. Literally, it's two-dimensional, right? Because you're reading it on page. But when you really sit back and think of how people live life, it's not, oh, they went into Kemet. Oh, they left Kemet. Oh, now they only worship Yahweh. Oh, they kept on worshiping. Oh, the people who didn't, they were the evil ones and they got destroyed. It wasn't like that. It was like, okay, I've been doing this since the beginning of time, worshiping, consulting these other gods. I shouldn't even say worshiping so much, because worshiping it's triggering. It's like, I always go back to Christianity. There's the Most High God, the Father, and then there's Jesus, the Son. We know the Father controls everything. We know the Father is over everything, but we know that we go to Jesus. We go to Yahweh, we go to Yeshua. It's the same thing. It's the same concept. All right? So the Canaanites believed that the fertility of the land was the work of their god Baal. I read that all right. Ready, right? So Israel did both. They worshiped Yahweh, and at the same time, they pleased the gods of the land of Canaan. Less than a century ago, our knowledge of Canaanite religion was very limited. However, the discovery of the religious epic literature at Ras Shamra, ancient Ugarit, a place located on the North Syrian coast, provided much information about Canaanite culture and religion, which that's what I'm talking about right now, right? We know this. Ugaritic literature confirmed many of the things the Old Testament says about the religious practices of the Canaanites and shed light on the reasons the biblical writers were so hard on Israel because of their assimilation of Canaanite practices. Several of the Canaanite deities are mentioned in the book of Judges. The references in Judges to these Canaanite deities is evidence that the people of Israel were involved in the worship of Canaanite gods and goddesses. These were some of the gods and goddesses of the Canaanite pantheon. We know this, but let's take a look. Baal was Baal. Baal was the storm god who, after supplanting his father, the god El, became the main god in the Canaanite pantheon. The name Baal means Lord. See, there's the title thing. See how the title comes to be? The titles and the common nouns came after the proper actual worship deity. I got to keep saying that. The name Baal, I should say also, means Lord, master, husband, and it's all through the Bible. It hasn't even been removed because I don't think it was possible to be removed. It was so prevalent in the ancient text that when these scholars and these, like the Masoretes, when they went in to do all their translations, it was impossible for them to remove all of these gods out of the Bible. As the storm god, Baal's voice came from the heavens in the form of thunder. Baal was the one who sent rain to water the ground to produce the fertility of the land. He was the center of the fertility myth. When Baal was killed by Mot, or you could say Mot, that's another god, by the way, of the Ugaritic pantheon. When Baal was killed by Mot, the god of the underworld, the dry season came. All vegetation withered and procreation ceased. When Baal was revived, well, then rain fell and the land again became fertile. The name of Baal appears 11 times in the book of Judges, both in the singular and in the plural. Now, the goddess Asherah, who I'm trying to center this stream on in the series, Asherah was the Canaanite goddess of fertility. Asherah was also the name of the wooden pole dedicated to the goddess. Why are we talking about the wooden pole with Asherah? Because Asherah is the tree goddess. She's the goddess of the grove. And then that goes into, taking that tree, carving a piece of wood, making an Asherah pole, right? For instance, and then people used it for worship and protection and things like of such. For instance, the NRSV translates Judges 3:7 as follows, quote, "The Israelites did what was evil in the sight of the Lord, forgetting the Lord their God and worshiping the Baals and the Asherahs." See how it's titles, even though we're talking about actual gods, even though we're talking about the worship of actual gods, when you call them the Baals and the Asherahs, you're saying you're talking about idols and things connected to idols. You're not saying specifically, and they worship Baal and Asherah. No, it's talking about common nouns, but it's using proper nouns to describe these common nouns because the common nouns came from the actual names of the gods. So anything that was used as an idol, like, oh, that old Asherah thing over there, get that Baal away from me. I only worship Yahweh. Get it? So they were like still connected to idol worship. And I have to drive this home because there's so many people like, oh, that didn't mean Baal, that just meant Lord. No, it's still talking about at the end of the day, over time, before the time progressed, it was worship of Baal, it was worship of Asherah, and it was worship of El. The KJV translates the same verse as follows, quote, "The children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord and forgot the Lord their God and served Baalim." That's plural for Baal, idols, like idols, right? And served Baalim and the groves. Guess what the groves means? Asherah, the Asherim or the Asherahs. The groves are the wooden poles representing the goddess Asherah. It is believed that the practice of sacred prostitution was associated with the worship of Asherah. Yes, of course it was. Sacred prostitution was also linked to the fertility worship of Asherah. Asherah as the goddess of fertility. What comes along with fertility? Sex. What does sex also turn into? It's prostitution, right? When I say sex doesn't turn into prostitution, please, sorry, y'all. I already gave so many disclaimers about my mind right now, but what I'm saying is prostitution is the commercialization or the marketing of sex. Okay? So sacred prostitution would be young women at the temple or doing sex in service of the goddess Asherah. That is what the practice of sacred prostitution was associated with, the worship of Asherah. By the way, you can get angry with Asherah if you like people get angry with the Most High and they go into the Bible and talk about why God did this, why God did that. People created sacred prostitution, whether you like it or not. I'm not saying either way, but people created sacred prostitution. Asherah was not a prostitute. She was the symbol of the mother goddess. Now, I'm not talking about my feelings. I'm talking about in the pantheon. She was a symbol of the mother goddess, and the mother is a symbol of reproduction. That is why in my other teachings, I said a woman is not a sex object. She is a sex symbol. The breasts give life to the baby. The belly becomes full with the child. The woman is literally a walking representation, aka symbol of sex, right? You know, if she's pregnant, she had sex. You know, if she has a baby on her breast nursing, she had sex to have that baby. So women, the mother goddess, Asherah, and all women, all representations of reproduction are very much commonly going to have a woman represented it. I have to push that home because, you know, we have, again, a lot of angry people say, see, Nepal wants to talk about, she wants to be a temple prostitute. We got a lot of sick people out here. So I had to do that little speech because, yeah, the temple prostitution was linked to Asherah and other goddesses because of what I explained. So the reference to Asherah poles appear in Judges 3, Judges 6, and so on and so forth. Okay, so a knot. Now this gets good because I really am very, very intrigued by this goddess. And I'm also intrigued by the goddess Kali and intrigued by the goddess Sekhmet. What do these three goddesses have in common? Well, first off, Kali is in the pantheon, the Hindu pantheon, which is obviously the Indian pantheon. And then we have Sekhmet, who is in the Kemetic, which also Egyptian, people call it Egyptian pantheon. And then we have Anat, who is a part of the Canaanite pantheon. All three of these goddesses are fierce warrior goddesses. Are there other goddesses out there we could talk about, like, you know, Athena and all the, yes, but we're sticking with the ancient, that the goddesses that are in that region, like from Kemet to, let's say, India, from Egypt to India, and all that's in between, right? All right, so I'm very intrigued with the Knot, who is a goddess of the Canaanite pantheon. And by the way, she's mentioned in, I could show you, it's oh gosh, it's so awesome to look at her mentioned quite often in the Bible, not always by name. When I say quite often, very there's very little when it's actually her name mentioned, but you can look at the esoteric and say, oh, they're talking about Anat. So anyway, Anat was the Canaanite goddess of war. She fought using the bow and the sword against her enemy. Although the name of this goddess does not directly appear in the book of Judges, her name does appear as part of the name of Shamgar, the judge who is called Shamgar, son of Anath. See that? That's in Judges chapter 3, verse 31. Her name also appears in the name of a place which is called Beth Anat, and that actually means house of Anat, of Anat. So Beth Anat means house of Anat, the goddess, right? A village, which is a village located in the tribe of Naphtali in Judges 1:33. A lot of great information in here. I really appreciate this particular scholar, and I definitely am going to get a couple of his books probably soon, probably tomorrow. I just got to look at them. So now Dagon, I'm going to read this, but I'm not going to give too much commentary on this. Now Dagon was a Canaan, because it's the god of the Philistines, right? We know this, correct? Dagon was a Canaanite god associated with grain. In the Hebrew Bible, Dagon appears as the god of the Philistines in Judges 16:23. Since the Philistines were not a people native to Canaan, it is possible that they adopted Dagon as their god after they conquered the Canaanites. So see, that's not that. So that's kind of like what this author is doing is putting all the gods that they were worshiping in that region, not just going back to the original Ugaritic pantheon. Get it? Right. Because he's talking about like what went on in that actual after they came out of the desert. Get it? They went back into Canaan, or they went back to that area. The Old Testament, let me take a look in the chats and see what the chat's doing. Okay. Start my day off right. Oh, thank you. Wow, you're being so kind. I appreciate it. I appreciate everybody here. I really do. Let's keep reading. I appreciate you being here. It's not about quantity right now. It's about quality audience. I appreciate it. Darkest minds of the light. So, but I do want a lot of people to get this information. So spread the word. If you go down the rabbit hole on your own. You don't have to. I don't have any parrots in my audience anyway. You take this information, fact check it, research it, run it through your own consciousness, and then bring it out the way that you want to bring it out, right? So the Old Testament presents the Canaanites as immoral and degraded. Their religious practices did not reflect the holiness God demanded from his people. When God made a covenant with Abraham, God told him that his descendants would not return to Canaan for 4 generations because, quote, the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet complete. So there's proof right there that they were in Canaan before they went into Kemet, right? That's Genesis 15, verse 16. All right, it was because of the degraded paganism of the Canaanites that Yahweh, ordered the complete destruction of their places of worship and Israel's absolute separation from Canaanite religious practices. Thus, a compromise. I want y'all to listen to that. Thus, a compromise between Israel's religion and the practices of the Canaanite religion was unthinkable. Oh, now we're getting it. Now we see what's going on here. It was there all along. They were doing it, but it was unthinkable. It was taboo. It was do this and your life will be ended. That's what it was, according to Torah. But the uncompromising attitude commanded by Yahweh was not to be. Oh, okay, let's keep on cooking. The Israelites failed to conquer the Canaanites. For example, the writers of Judges says that, quote, Zebulun did not drive out the Canaanites living in Kitron or Nahalal. So these Canaanites lived amongst them. So it says right now, the Israelites lived amongst the Canaanites in Judges chapter 1, verse 30. It's in the Bible. As a result, many Canaanite religious practices were assimilated into Israelite religious life, just like they did in Kemet, my friends, just like Abraham did when he left where he was, according to the text. He left where he lived, was worshiping gods in his way. Then he moved on and they picked up some gods along the way, right? It's just how it was. The consequences for Israel's the difference is, I really want to say this, the difference is this, everyone. This is the difference. The difference is that now there's a law that if you do this, you will be put to death. That's the difference. That's just very stark difference. I really want you to timestamp this part. The difference is that is really unprecedented if you think about it. Everybody listen. If we look at the historical evidence of all these gods in all these different regions, not all these different regions, in that particular region, in the Near East, like, if we go from Kemet and all the way over, we're going to that to Levant, even not even just that region. When we talk about all over Indo-European, we talk about Sumer and Akkadian, all the Babylonian region. There was never a law saying if you worship other gods, we will take your life, and we're not playing. Get that? Think about that. I'm going to check the chat for this one. Do you guys hear me right now? Am I condemning Israel? No. Am I saying wrong or right? No. I'm just pointing something out, which is facts. Now, somebody might come up and say, no, Nepal, because look, there was this one religion where if you worship that other, I want to see it. Because from what I've studied in these polytheistic religions, there is no law saying that you cannot worship other gods besides one God. You're only the one God. Possibly, if you look at the most I think we could find would be Akhenaten, right? That's it. When we go to Akhenaten and he was like bashing all the, he did all that that bashing of all the idols and actually moved the capital away from where all the priests of Kemet were very much powerful. So yeah, let me look and see what y'all are saying. The Roman Catholics also worship Dagon. The fish hat that they wear is a symbol of their worship. Okay, getting deep over here. All right, slow. Let's take it down a notch. No, just kidding. That's good. That's good information. You don't have to take it down a notch. But I appreciate you adding that. That's why Summer jammed it. Now, I'm not saying either way because I do want to maybe do a lesson on that. But you're not wrong that the hat that they wear it does have roots in Dagon, the fish god. It does have roots. Okay, so I'm not saying you're completely wrong. So I appreciate your input. So I was just looking at the chat. Let me get back to this information. The consequences. Oh, did I finish reading that? Oh, yes, I did. The consequences for Israel's disobedience was tragic. As Joshua had warned the new generation of Israelites, the Canaanites and their religion became the reason for Israel's downfall. Now we're talking about the Deuteronomist. Okay? Now we're talking about the Deuteronomist. Say it again. Now we're talking about the Yahwists who were called Deuteronomists, and they're Deuteronomists who were historians who did make revisions to the actual biblical text. Specifically, Judges 1 and, Kings, 1 Kings and 2 Kings, but also Judges. When we get from Joshua and we go all the way, we're heading into like Judges, and then we go into 1st and 2nd Samuel, then we go into 1 Kings, 2 Kings. We're dealing with a group of historians, a group of authors who said, we really are so bummed that we got, punished by Yahweh for doing all that stuff we were doing. Now look at us. We're exiled. This sucks. So guys, we got to go back to all the stuff that was written. We got to make some changes, and we got to make some stories about, we're going to use historical evidence, but we're going to talk about how when we worship other gods, God punished us. This is actually what happened. Let me read this to you real quickly. I'm not going to screen share it, but I want to just get something a little bit more eloquent. Besides me and my sleep deprived. See, I said provide. Sleep deprived self. Let me get this for you. Where is it? Do I have it? Sure I do. Let me read this. Oh, no, I don't. Darn it. No, I don't have it. I was going to read this to you about, oh, well. I was going to read about the Deuteronomist. I'll do it on the next stream I do. Okay. All right. Okay, good. So basically, Dr. Claude says the consequences for Israel's disobedience was tragic. Who is this? Is this Asarim Ka? Peace, Asarim Ka. I just looked at the chat. How you doing? Let me read what you said. He said, all right, sis, Nepal giving me something to drive to in this morning. I'm glad. You know what? That really warms my heart. You're my brother, and I definitely know this information. It was horrible to see what you're doing. I felt like I was just witnessing just a complete abusive child when you were in the debate with Kassad. Not calling him a child, but he's, you're his senior. So Yeah, you know about this. So let me continue. So basically, let me get to the part where it says why. Okay, so what are we doing? We're looking at the reason of why in the Bible, when we look at all of this, oh, these evil gods. Because remember, these were the gods that they were worshiping before they even went into Kemet, and when they came out, after they, after they were in the desert, they're back in Canaan, and then these gods are, they're there for them. Asherah's doing stuff for them, bringing babies out of their womb. And you got to remember, this was an ancient time where the infant mortality rate was through the roof, as well as the woman dying during birth, the mother's mortality rate. So anyway, it says the consequences for Israel. So this is the prohibition, the theme, like this is happening to us because y'all won't stop worshiping all these other gods. The consequences for Israel's disobedience was tragic. As Joshua had warned the new generation of Israelites, the Canaanites and their religion became the reason for Israel's downfall. Joshua told the people that the Canaanites would be a snare and a trap for you, a scourge on your side, and the thorns in your eyes until you perish from this good land that our Lord God has given you. Joshua 23:13. Okay, so let's see here. So that's pretty much it. We got through it. We got through his article. Look at all these great books, everybody. Look at on the right hand side. I didn't know anything about this scholar. If I'm a dummy, okay, I'm a dummy, but I am so glad I found him. Look at his books. He's got Divine Violence and the Character of God, Job and the Problem of suffering, rereading the biblical he's got so many books. I mean, look, Isaiah, the prophet of hope. Let's see, he's got some stuff in Spanish, the history of Israel, the New Interpreter's Study Bible, Holy Land. He's got all these books. So listen, and this is a believer. This is a believer. Now, let's go straight into this is about Asherah, right? This is about Asherah. Asherah, the goddess. Let me put this in the background here. I like this. Y'all like that little AI thing? I like it. Okay. I should have made it as a background, but all right, there's no background. That's strange. I like that. Okay. So let's look at another article. Yes, I need to get these articles out because we got a lot of people trying to keep the truth from y'all. And I keep on bringing up Kassad because he's one of the main people. This isn't to antagonize him, but he's one of the main people out here pushing against this truth. And so when you hear our brother Kassad and many others who are pushing a false narrative that the Israelites never worshipped other gods, just pull this out and say, you're sure about that? Well, let's look at this particular article, starting with this one. I'm just going to go right down the line, everything I have lined up. Let me screen share this. I'm going to try not to get sidetracked. You guys know what happens with me. All right, so going right into this article here. Real basic information. You know what I'm saying? This isn't rocket science. This isn't even hard to put together. It's just historical evidence. That's it. You can see it in the Bible. So Asherah, 10th to 7th century BCE. Okay, our understanding of the goddess Asherah in early Israel derives from the Bible and from written testimony of Israel and her Ugaritic predecessors. The Bible refers to both the goddess Asherah in Judges 3 and 1 Kings 15 to 13 and 18 to 19. I don't know why I said 15 to 13, but okay. Basically in the Bible. And to her cult symbol, which is what, y'all? It's what we hear these guys like the brother, Kassad, and others misleading people saying, oh, that's a tool. That's a tool. That's not really a goddess. That's a handcrafted wooden pole. That's Yahweh and his Asherah. They're not talking about his wife. They're actually talking about his walking stick. No, stop misleading. A handcrafted wooden pole is an Asherah, but Asherah is the goddess, the mother goddess. And the pole is represented because she's the goddess of the fertility, goddess of the grove, the trees. Get it? So this is when it's lowercase, they are talking about a tool, but we're still talking about the goddess Asherah in the end, at the root, no pun intended. So it's listing all the places in the Bible where you can find it. You can go back and look at this if you want to do that. It's in, obviously, I told you it's in 1 Kings, 2 Kings, Jeremiah. The commands to cut down, hewn down, and burn the Asherah provide the clues to identifying her symbol as a wooden pole. Exodus chapter 34, Deuteronomy chapter 7, commands to plant and uproot, favor a tree. Deuteronomy 16. Asherah, the cult symbol, stood both at local shrines. Are you hearing this? We already know this is in the Bible. Solomon set these up. So did a lot of, Jehu didn't bring them down. Even though Jehu of the Jezebel and Ahab story, even though he goes and massacres the entire family, according to the Deuteronomists, they say, oh, it's because they were worshiping Baal. He didn't even get rid of the shrines to Baal and all the other gods. So it wasn't about them worshiping other gods at the end of the day. It was a coup to take over power. Jehu still kept those shrines up. He still kept it all up. He kept up the stuff from Jeroboam, the bulls. Okay, so a lot of that stuff is bull, you know what? But that I put my feelings in there. Let me take my feelings out. Let's keep going. So Asherah, the cult symbol, stood both at local shrines, Bamot, with sacred pillars, Massabot, and altars. That's in Judges and Kings, as well as Jerusalem temples. Are you hearing this? As well as Jerusalem temple during the reign of King Manasseh in the middle of the 7th century BCE. 2 Kings. Now remember, I told you the Deuteronomists went in and they're like, we're gonna write these stories down to show that God hates this stuff. Because look, we went into captivity over this mess. So we're going to go in to 1 Kings and 2 Kings and talk about how wicked Israel was because they were worshiping these idols. Have we been worshiping these idols since the beginning of time as Israelites? Yeah, but we got to look what God did to us. It has to be because we were worshiping them. Why am I saying this? Because what about the times when they were having blessings? And what about the times when things were going so well for them? What about the times when Jacob and his sons were worshiping these gods and they were saved by Joseph? Get what I'm saying? Like, so those gods that you prayed to and that you, I'm right, yes, is there part of the Bible where Jacob says, hey guys, put away your idols. Come on, guys. Put them away. Let's just worship this one God. There is not yet a prohibition in Genesis saying if you don't, the Most High will unalive you, will kill you. So see, they didn't do that until Moses. So why am I saying that? They were worshiping those gods and things were going well for them. They were like, according to the story, living so well. They were saved. Their brother was the vizier of Kemet. He was like Michael Jackson of Kemet. He was like he was like the Pope. He was the high guy, right? So what about when they were worshiping those gods then? Because why am I saying? You said, well, no, because Jacob said put those idols away. But did they put them away? No. In the story, it shows that Jacob's favorite wife didn't put them away. She saved it. She kept it. Rachel. Now, esoterically, if you look at the misogyny and the things that they teach against women, she sat on it while she was on her cycle. On the surface, that's what it says. But guess what? She wasn't on her cycle. Y'all forgot that? She just said she was on her cycle, so she wouldn't have to stand up when Laban and his men were looking for the idol that they were worshiping. See? So Jacob told them, take off your earrings, guys. You know, I wrestled with God. This is crazy. And y'all, come on now. And they're like, anyway, I'm not going to stop doing this. So why am I telling you this? So now when we go fast forward in time, things started going badly for them. They get put into captivity. They said, why is God doing this to us? Think, Israel. Oh, I know why. Remember when we were in the desert and God was like, you better not do that. And then we did it anyway. And then some stuff went down on us and we were really in a bad way. Well, this is why. Even though when we came out for hundreds of years, we were doing the Canaanite way, God and Yahweh, we're still praising the Most High. You know, that's top God, just like El was top God of the Ugaritic pantheon. God, we got Yahweh up there because it was El Elyon, but now we call him Yahweh because Midianites and Jethro, they told us the way. And okay, but we can't get rid of Asherah. That's the mother goddess. Okay, no, we got Yahweh and we got his wife, Asherah. All right, good, guys. But guess what? We're going into captivity now. What the heck? Oh, it has to be because we didn't abandon those gods like Moses told us to. And like Joshua told us. So that is what's going on when you read the text. Why did I go on and on about that? Are there people? Yes, of course there are people like radical saying hypocrites, though. We see them today. You better not worship that God or you're going to be put to death. But then they do stuff and you're looking at them like, wait a minute. You said we have to keep Torah, but you're over here marrying women who aren't Israelites. Or you're over here, I saw you serving something against the dietary law. And wait a minute, you're over here hanging out with people who read tarot cards, but you're condemning me? So what am I saying? In these ancient times, if I take us back into time and put your mind back there, they were like, whatever. Some of us do it in secret because we don't want to deal with these Yahwehs. We don't want to deal with these people going to stone us. And some of us who are the leaders like Jehu and Jeroboam, the king, they just blatantly said, oh, it's okay. Yahweh said we can put these bulls here because, we don't mess with them over in the southern kingdom. So we got to worship God. I don't want you guys going to Jerusalem. This is what the king said. I'm just kind of jumping around. I'm talking about Jeroboam when the kingdom of Israel, when they split into southern and northern. He was like, listen, you guys, if you think I'm going to let you travel back to over there and worship, and then you guys stay over there. First off, their king wants to kill me, right? Rehoboam. He's trying to kill me, right? No. We ain't doing it that way. What I'm going to do, no, listen to me. We're going to build some temples right here, y'all, in Israel. Okay, we're going to add Asherah in there. It's going to be real nice. We're going to have a bull here on one part, and that's what happened. So see, it was okay for them to do it. It sounds like I'm being like adding some comedy to it, but I'm really being serious when this is what happened. So the archaeological evidence divides into two groups. Inscriptions explicitly mentioning Asherah and material evidence interpreted as Asherah or a Asherah. Excuse me, that's not a. Asherah, I told you my mind. Asherah, the proper noun, which is a goddess, or Asherah, the lowercase, which is an common noun as an item. That's what that is. Ooh. 3 inscriptions explicitly invoke Asherah in association with Yahweh. The scholarly consensus is that the goddess Asherah stood as Yahweh's consort. The cult symbol, lowercase Asherah, represented the goddess's fertility and fecundity aspects, now subsumed by Yahweh. We're talking about childbirth now. Childbirth. I'm going to show you something really cool. If I can just get through all this kind of technical stuff, I'm going to show you something in the Bible that is very esoteric, but it's great. It's fun. So, at the northeastern Sinai fortress of Kuntalet Adrud, which is very common, we've been looking at this for a while. We saw our brother Asarim Ka present it. We see it discussed about, it's a graffiti on a large store jar, or pithwa, I think that's pronounced pithoi. Invoke, if it isn't, forgive me. And they invoke the blessings, quote, by Yahweh and his Asherah. Now you see, in this, whoever wrote this is making it like the argument that Kassad and other Hebrews are holding on by a thin thread. They are saying it's just a tool. And this person, whoever wrote this, has written it as a tool. And then there's another quote. It says, by Yahweh of Timon and by his Asherah. Again, it's written as a tool. But the inscription, that's an interpretation, because the inscription is clearly a man and a woman, not a man and a tool. Oh my goodness. But okay. An inscription from the walls of a tomb in Kirbet el-Qom, or Kirbet el-Qam, located in the Judean hills west of Hebron, is commonly translated as referring to Yahweh and his Asherah. Disparate representations and remains include a figure and a tree on a cult stand, Judean pillar figurines, and remains of wooden poles have been interpreted as representations of the goddess Asherah, uppercase A and proper noun, or the tool Asherah, an idol tool used to worship the goddess Asherah. Judean pillar figurines fashioned from clay of females shaped like poles with, now stop, slam on the brakes. See that? These lowercase Asherah, which are called common noun, or which is a common noun, and it's a tool, they are fashioned as females. I wonder what female that could possibly be. I know, teacher. Yes, who? The goddess Asherah? Ding, 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 ding. You get an A. Exactly. So there, even when they're like, it's a tool, it's a tool. It's a tool, which is a symbol of the goddess in the worship of the goddess, who is Asherah. Oh, madness. Okay. These shapes, these female shapes that are in these female shaped poles with prominent breasts, that's a representation of childbirth. Get it? Giving the life to the children, have been identified with various goddesses, but the pole-like depiction and fertility, perhaps through lactation, association, favor the uppercase Asherah goddess and the lowercase tool, which is used in the worship of the goddess. These figurines first appear in the very late 10th or 9th century BCE. They become popular throughout Judah in the 8th and 7th century. Why is this important? Do you also know that this aligns with the writing of actual First Kings and Second Kings, which talk about Jezebel and all the other stuff about not just Jezebel, but the worship of Baal, the worship of all these gods of Asherah? We must stop this. So All right. Now, the actual setting for Jezebel, like when they find her seal, that's earlier in history. That would be like I think I'm going to say 8th or 9th century. But when you look at where wait, let me go back to where it says through the 10th. Where was I? Oh yeah. What am I talking about? Y'all, I told you oh no, I'm still good. I'm still good. See, it says that the figurines appear, which is great. Okay, I was just kind of saying that. So the actual use, when you hear about the story setting, just please take your time, have mercy. Not have mercy, have patience with me. When you look at the stories in First Kings, Second Kings, it takes you back to a time around 10th and 9th century. Yes, I said 8th and 9th, but I'm reading this. It's the setting of Jezebel and Ahab around the 10th and 9th century, right? The people who went in, the Deuteronomists who went in and, framed the story around wickedness and idolatry, that happened around the 8th and 7th century. All right, I want to give you the background on that. So it says these figurines, now back to this information about the Asherah's actual idols, okay? These figurines first appear in the very late 10th or 9th century BCE. They become popular throughout Judah in the 8th and early 7th century, and then quickly die out. See? Why do you think they died out? Because the narrative came back of, you know what? We're being punished by God because you guys are worshiping all these. And people were like, let me just put my Asherah away. It's like, I don't want anybody talking crazy to me. You know what I mean? So it died out, right? So where is it? In addition to figurines, actual tree remains have been identified as an Asherah lowercase. Why are they lowercase Asherah? I have to keep beating this into the ground. It's lowercase Asherah because they were symbols used to worship the uppercase Mama Asherah, the goddess. Through the 10th and 9th century BCE, in the town of Lachish, a large masabah stood in a pathway, and in front of it, archaeologists found the remains of standing olive wood tree trunk. The trunk was identified with the lowercase tool Asherah, which is a tool used to worship the uppercase Mama goddess Asherah. Okay, so the trunk was identified with Asherah. So let's just say it's identified with the goddess, because the tool would be nothing without being used to worship the goddess. Bomb drop. Okay, so the trunk was identified with Asherah in conjunction with the standing stone, as the two are commonly associated in the Bible. First Kings, very interesting. Second Kings, even more interesting. Asherah may also appear on cult stands. Depictions in the 2nd and 4th registers of the 10th century BCE Tanakh cult, meaning the Tanakh, I believe. If I'm wrong, I'm tired. Sue me. The Tanakh cult stands I think that's something else. That might be something else, yes. Tanakh cult stand have also been identified as Asherah, or it may not be. It may be the Tanakh. I don't know. But basically, we're talking about the Asherah. The Asherah is there in Israel. That's the point. That's the point. It's all through Judah and Israel. There it is. They were worshiping. They were worshiping the Most High God as the top, highest God, but they were revering, exalting, and consulting with these other gods. Though not all agree with the identifications, lions associated with goddess flank the naked figure in the 4th or bottom register. 2 registers up, lions flank an ornamental tree considered a symbol. I think I know which one this is actually, now that they're talking like that. You know what this is. I think I could get a picture of, that picture of the goddess in the middle with the 2 lions on the side. And I think she's standing on an owl. I thought that was Asherah. Astarte. But anyway, I think they're interchangeable. On one side of the contemporary cult stands from Tel Rehov, shaped like a horned license altar. Molded naked females stand erect with legs together, flank an incised tree. Based on Asherah's preeminent status among goddesses in the Bible and associated with the tree, the female depicted may be Asherah. While all these various examples display features associated with Asherah, none are explicitly identified as such. Yeah, thank you for that. Hey, I am not biased, but I am, I'm obviously biased, but I'm showing this information. So we got through that article. I appreciate everyone staying with me. We're just trying to get through all these because trust me, I'm not going to let you down. Let me see, not to stop your build before you go. Can you read Galatians? Oh, before you go. Oh, okay, before I go. Galatians 4:21. Okay, yes. Yes, I will. All right, before I go, I will do that. Good, because I'm just getting through these articles. All right, so far, we have seen these Israelites. We see the background of what was going on, what were they doing. I'm going to try to get to the stuff that I said was fun. I think I'm going to get to it right now. I can show you quickly when you've seen this already before with the brothers debating, the men debating about this, but I'm going to show you this on my stream because some of you may not have seen it, and I care about you seeing it, right? So here it is. Here it is. Okay, what we were just reading about. Look at this over here. See this? What is this? What is this? What is this? Of Yahweh and Asherah, or Astarte, or Asherah. So I guess that I was right when I said they're interchangeable. So this is at Kuntalet Ajrud, and these are the excerpts showing it. See this art? See this work? These are all discovered. Actual, authentic, historical, extra-biblical proof that the Hebrews, the Israelites, exalted, revered, and worshipped, and acknowledged and consulted other gods besides Yahweh. These three short inscriptions are all from Kuntalet Ajrud. This is the picture. If you see right here, this one, right, this part, this furthest on the left, this character has a phallus. If you look between the legs, there is a phallus symbol, like it's showing that it has a male member. The one to the right has no male member. Okay, there's no male member. All right, we got that out of the way. Great. And if you will look too, let me see if I can enlarge it more. Let me show you something else. What else does that figure have? Oh my. Oh dear. Okay, let me see. Okay, I think that's good. Let's get it up a little closer. See, that figure has breasts. See the chichis? 1, 2. The male one has, this is my member that shows my fertility. And these are my members right here on the top, because you can't see what's going on down here because I don't have anything protruding, but I do have my breast. So here's the girl with the chi-chis, with the breast, and here's the guy. So anybody saying that means a tool or a stick? No. This is a representation of the daddy and the mommy. This is El, who later became Yahweh in the pantheon because they weren't worshiping El anymore. Remember, in the Bible, God told Moses, your forefathers knew me as El, but you're going to start calling me Yahweh because remember, Jethro hooked you up, showed you I'm the God of the desert. Yes, okay, my name's Yahweh. So your forefathers knew me as El, but I'm Yahweh. So now we're not going to see El and his wife Asherah because they were worshiping Yahweh. They were going to see Yahweh and his wife Asherah. But some people want to say that's a stick or a tool. Okay, let's keep reading. So these three short inscriptions are all from Kuntalet Ajrud, an archaeological site in Sinai near the Egypt-Israel border, with a rich treasury of drawings and writings inscribed on its walls and pottery. This is actual, if you see the picture to the right, that's the actual that's a picture of the actual archaeological piece that was recovered. How fascinating is that? How awesome are these archaeologists? I want to say shout out to these people who do this work, who bring this information out and give it to us. Oh, what a blessing. All right. So the evocative drawings above, these are who they called on, right? This is who they were talking to, these gods. The evocative drawings above, perhaps depictions of Yahweh and Asherah, may indicate that it was a religious center. My first text, now this is someone's take on this. My first text, which was written on a plaster wall, is a dramatic theophany. I've translated El and Baal as divine names, but they may be intended as titles for Yahweh. See that? Did everybody see the way we can look at it ourselves and say, oh, these people who are out here saying it's just titles, they're misleading us, or they don't know what they're doing. Either way, we're not going to listen to them. We're going to do our own research. See how we keep seeing that repetition of, oh, titles, but the titles are the names, the actual proper names of actual gods that were actually worshipped by the actual Israelites. And the reason Baal and El are interchangeable with Yahweh, or the Tetragrammaton, Yahweh, Yohe-Wahe, and they became titles. El became a title and Baal became a title because these were the gods that the Israelites said, you're lesser than our God, but we'll use you as a determiner. We'll use you as a common noun, right? Everybody's okay with that. So when you hear them say, oh, you're so dumb, Baal is just a title, Asherah is just a stick, why are you being misleading? We know that Israel was full-fledged worshiping these gods. And not only does this extra biblical archaeological evidence show us, the Bible says it. So take several misleading, deceptive seats in the classroom of honesty in life. I digress. So back to this. All right. Let's see here. The focus of interest in these texts, however, has been a phrase that appears in the latter text, both from a large clay jar, which has, quote, Yahweh Timna Wasrith. Okay. I hope I didn't butcher that. Yahweh, or it might be Yahweh HaTimna Wasrith. So Wasrith is actually and Asherah, or you'll see. Just let's get to the English. Stick with the English, Nava, when it comes to this. No, all right. The first two words are the divine name Yahweh of Timnah. See, when we look at that, it's still written where we can read it. Yahweh of Timnah. The final word says, depending on your interpretation, it says, and Asherah, which is also Ashereth or Ashtaroth or Asherah. It can mean and Asherah or and his Asherah. Or it can say and his Asherah. Okay? So see how they did the lowercase for people like our brother Kassad, who has some severe cognitive dissonance and refuses to break the program and doesn't want his world to come crashing around him because he has to say, oh, it's just a tool. A tool of what, Kassad? I won't say. It's simply a tool of idol worship. Idol worship to who, Kassad? Get it? It's to the goddess Asherah. All right. So, and that is a depiction of goddess Asherah. All right. Since Asherah was both a Canaanite mother goddess and a noun for cultic religious objects, perhaps a tree or a pole carved in the shape of a woman who is of fertility with big breasts, a woman who is of fertility and big breast, and it just so happens that Asherah is a woman represented as a goddess of fertility in this picture with breasts. But okay. All right, back to this. The debate has yet to reach a solid consensus. Yes, this is why I'm saying, that's why and I'm bringing up Kasadi should be happy because he's the main person that we see going full-fledged about this information in this community. All right, so let me finish. I have included a speculative new reading of the quote father and mother in the final text. Part of the inscription is extremely faded, but after closely examining its drawings, as well as the analyses of Naaman and Aituv et al., I think that this is both epigraphically plausible and more coherent. Uh-oh, he's getting ready to give us some more. All right, I'm ready. Let's do this. I've also included my transliteration of the text for reference. If my reading is correct, then the Asherah Ta, is clearly a female deity in these blessings, not merely a cultic object. Okay, let's see what he brought for us. This translator here, this historian, this scholar. Second plaster inscription. Now we're talking about the actual archaeological. Let me show you the piece of pottery. Let's go back up to it. We're talking about this thing, this clay piece. See this? Am I frozen? Oh yeah, you see it. Grand Rising, Tehran. Okay, so you see this? So we've got all this. This is an actual piece that has been examined. Let's see what these inscriptions say. Years with a roar, and when El shone out from the summit, and the mountains dissolved, and the peaks crushed, trampled across the earth, over the stones he veered, and he prepared for the blessed one of Baal on the day of battle, for the name of El on the day of battle. Pithos B, first inscription. Okay? Amar Yahu's message. Say to my Lord, are you well? I bless you by Yahweh of Timnah and by Asherah. May he bless and keep you, and may he be with my Lord forever. This is what has been seen by the expert and what is on this actual piece of pottery. Pithos B, third inscription. El Yahweh, I tried to say this before, of Timnah and his Asherah. Okay, you see that all at the top. Let's get this. By Yahweh of Timnah and by Asherah Ta or Asherah. Everything that he could ask from someone, the father and the mother graciously give him. They're not talking about a stick or a tool. It's right here. It's right here. He requested, so Yahweh gave him what he desired. Let's keep going. Let's read. Okay, we got a lot of people saying, yay, bravo, I love this. Reblog, yes. Oh, wonderful. Now, who is this, by the way? Is this a blog? Yes, it is. Let's see who. Hold on, y'all. Okay, so this is a blog. So I can't. I'm sorry, I can't show you who this is, but there it is. There. All right, moving right along. Grand Rising. Let's get this. All right, let's get to the thing that I said is pretty interesting and cool. I'm gonna get it right now. I'm going on 2 hours. It's not so bad. Whew. All right, what happened here? What is the problem? Why do you bother me so? All right, the fun part is, so we have shown that the mother goddess Asherah, when we in this Bene Elohim, Sons of God series, Children of God series, we have now shown that there is absolute worship of the mother goddess, reverence of, and consultation to, and going to, pleading with the mother goddess Asherah, just like there are other gods, but this is, in this series, we're focusing on her. I did give you a little background. I really appreciate you listening with the Dr. Mario Tini. And then we read, I showed you the actual piece of archaeological evidence from Kuntalet Ajrud. Now we're going to do something fun that I've been promising you. You know, I love to get in the Bible and look at the words. So this is something people have already said. This isn't just my discovery. But when you look at the children of Jacob, remember I talked about Genesis, how in that writing and during that time, there was not a prohibition of worshiping other gods or revering other gods, as long as you worship the highest God as the top father God, El, and the mother along with El is Asherah, right? So in Genesis, I discussed how Jacob was like, I could get the scripture. Oh, you know what? I'm going to play a really quick song because I just have to, my alarm's going off and I have to go do something, get something done really quickly. It's not even going to take me 2 minutes, but I'm going to play a song for you guys and gals. And I'm going to give you my cool, look at this thing that I did with AI. Thank you, AI. All right. So that's the pantheon. That's the Bene Elohim, the children of God. This is the Canaanite pantheon, and Israel worshiped them up until the time of Christ. Just some names are turned different, you know, some tweaking here, tweaking there. All right. It's still in the Bible. El's still in the Bible. Baal's in the Bible. Asher's in the Bible. Anat is in the Bible. And I'm not talking about in a bad way all the time. In a lot of good ways. There is benevolence behind it, like I showed you. The house of Anat. You know? So let me just play this really quick before, because I got to get something real quickly. Let's see what I want to play. What do I want to play? I'm going to play my song. Hmm. Let's see here. No, I'm going to play, let me play something else. Actually, you know what? I'm not playing anything. Just give me a minute. All right, guys. Let's see here. I'm going to take my vitamins. All right, where was I? I'm back. Told you it wasn't going to take long. All righty, darling. Where was I? Oh, I'm going to show you something fun and then we'll be done. I don't want to torture you guys. I'll try to come back. What am I going to show you? Am I coming in clear still? I don't even know. Can you hear me okay? Isn't this a cool picture? Oh, I really like it. I don't really like how they made L kind of look like Russell Brand, but just a darker version. Otherwise, I like it though. All righty then. Let's get back to it, shall we? What we're going to do. Oh, I know what I was going to do. I'm going to show you something in the Bible, and then it'll be done. I want to show you the esoteric. When we look at the Bible, we can see Asherah. We can see it. We can see a reference to Asherah in the Bible. I'm going to go to the blue letter. Yeah, I know. You're like, wait a minute, you was just telling us the Masoretic was no, we got to use what we got to use, guys. Okay? If you don't have the name brand, you got to use generic. But so this is for teaching purposes. This is Genesis. This is the book of Genesis. The sons of Jacob. See how in the Masoretic text, when they tried to, well, not try to, when they mangled the Deuteronomy 32, and they changed it to sons of Israel, but it's really the sons of God. But I digress. But this is about the actual sons of Jacob. Wink, wink. But they're actually, Asher is one of Jacob's sons. Now you might be like, come on, Pa, that's what you want to show us? No, but that's actually a cool part. One of the sons of Jacob is Asher, and that is 100% the same as Asherah when we're talking about the name. It is. It is. You think I'm lying? Okay, well, I'm going to get something for you. Let me read this first, though. You don't think I'm lying, but hold on. I want to line up my language proof. I have so many tabs open. Why? Okay, I'm going to show you in a minute. I want to get because I'm looking for the paleo, but we will start with the blue letter first. Okay. All right, we'll start with the blue letter. Give me one moment, please. Where? All right, 1 second, y'all. God, I couldn't say anthropomorphize earlier. Woo, it was rough. Okay. Hold on. I'm just getting the actual paleo up so I could show it to you also. So just bear with me. All righty, there. All right. Oh man. All right. Well, I don't see it, but I'll find it. So let's just get to this right now. All right. What was I saying? I was telling you, right, that in the Bible, you will see a reference to Asher, the son, but it's a reference to the goddess Asherah as well. Okay, so let me give you some background if you're not familiar with the Bible. Basically, Jacob's got two wives, two sisters, Leah and Rachel. Another point that I want to make, this is pre-Torah. Why? Because after this, way after this, hundreds of years, centuries and centuries and centuries and several centuries later, Moses goes into the desert and says, it's against God to sleep with two sisters. So this is more proof that this is pre-Torah, pre-Exodus, and there is no prohibition of worshiping other gods unto death. There's not even a prohibition. It's just like, you guys should be worshiping me. Of course, the text was written, the actual text was written, the Torah was written way after. However, the oral tradition, there wasn't anything saying you will be put to death if you worship other gods. And also in Genesis, in the story, you can see, I'm proving the Torah wasn't, he slept with two sisters and nobody was condemning him. So in the story, Jacob has two wives. Those wives have handmaids, Sifra and Bilhah. So Leah's having babies and Rachel's like, I'm not having any babies. And then Leah gets to the point where Leah's like, oh, I'm not having babies lately. Get over here and have a baby for me. She tells her handmaid, right? So let's get to that. So I got that. I just give you some background and I'm going to go to it. Where we are here. Here it is. Zilpah. Here it is. Genesis chapter 30. This is the fun part. So I hope you think it's fun like I do. Genesis chapter 30, verse 13. And Leah said, happy am I, for the daughters will call me blessed. And she called him Asher. Of course, this is English. And then we're going to also have to go through the Masoretic text, but I'm going to show you some stuff. Okay, we'll get to it. Let's look at this. Let's look at this. The word Asher. We're told, oh, it means happy. Don't worry. Go on. That's all it means. Don't look around here. Hold on now. That word Asher is actually the name of the fertility goddess, the mother goddess Asherah, the fertility goddess. This is the fun part for me. So we're looking at the translations. This is the Masoretic Hebrew. And it says, and Amar, Leah, it's just, you're looking at the translation. I'm going to get down to happy. Okay, let's get to it. Amar, that means said. We know that. Leah said what? What did Leah say? What did Leah say? She said, happy am I. Right here, this word right here. Am I. Let's click on this one. Excuse me, y'all. This is happy. See how it's in, when you look at this particular Hebrew style, they've got Osher, and then they've got Asher, and then they've got all these different variations, right? Of the name of the goddess Asher. You say, Nepal, you don't know what you're talking about. Well, even in this, we can see Aleph, Shen, and Resh. Aleph is A, Shen is saying the Shah, and Resh. But they are saying it's like, oh, okay, great, gotcha. But it's Asher. Asher. It's supposed to mean happy. So it says the daughters, this is what she's saying. This is what the biblical text says. Ancient text that they translate it says, happy am I, for the daughters will call me Asher. But now it's saying Asar. It's an A now. It's different. It's not S-E-R, but it's still the same. It's still Aleph, Shen, and Resh. That is the name of the goddess. They will call me blessed. Now in the Hebrew, remember I was telling you about how they're saying, that doesn't mean goddess, that means a tool. That doesn't mean Baal, that means Lord. Same with this language. They're saying Asher means blessed, but the goddess Asherah is a fertility goddess that blesses you with abundance and children and lots of crops and trees. And she's the goddess of abundance and blessing and fertility. So see, now the word bless becomes synonymous with the word Asher. And then the word Asher, meaning blessed, becomes happy, because when you're blessed, you're happy. So now people say, oh, I'm Asher. What do you mean you're blessed? Yeah, of course I'm blessed. Oh, so you're happy and blessed. duh, because when I'm blessed, I'm happy. So now Asher means happy and blessed. But it all goes back to the goddess Asherah. You think I'm finished? I'm not. I'm just showing you, giving you little hors d'oeuvres on this. So getting back to what Leah says. Leah says, happy am I. She says, Asher, happy am I, right? The daughters will call me Asher. And she called his name Asher. You see how that, do you see this is, are you guys hearing this? This is like a song. You get it? It's a song. She's like, happy am I. So she's like, Asher, dot, 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 Asher, dot, 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 Asher. So this is actually like a type of invocation. It's like a prayer. Think I'm lying? Oh, I got some more for you. I'm not lying and I'm not far-fetched. I'm showing you this is the esoteric of the Bible. She says, Asher. Now remember the backstory on the surface, not the backstory, excuse me, the front story. What is this about? It's about Leah couldn't have babies. She was having some babies, but she stopped having them. We also hear before that how her sister was like, I can't have any babies. So let's go to Genesis 30 and I'm going to show you. 30 verse 9. When Leah saw that she had left bearing. Oh, this is going to get good. When Leah saw that she had left bearing, she couldn't have babies. She took Zilpah, her maid, and gave her Jacob to wife. And Zilpah, Leah's maid, had a baby for Jacob. See right there, she didn't have babies, right? And now a baby, her maid brought her a baby. And then that happens again when Leah's maid, Zilpah, had her second son. So after she had Gad, and then she had, first she had Gad, then Zilpah had Leah. Remember, no babies were coming. Now, here comes the song of praise. Happy am I, like Asherah. The daughters call on or will call me blessed. But I'm not saying the daughters call her Asherah. This is what she's saying, Asherah. The daughters call on Asherah. And then she called him Asherah, Asher. So she's saying, oh, we got this baby, hallelujah. And the God that gave it to me obviously is the mother. I'm not going to say the dad gave me the baby. Even back then, think about it, like, God's not going to be, Yahweh's not going to be mad at me if I'm praising the mother goddess, his woman, his wife. She's the mother, So she's like, happy am I, Asherah. The daughters will call me Asherah. And she called his name Asherah. Now you might be like, oh, come on, Nepal, you're far-fetched on that. It just so happens, y'all, let me stop sharing this, that there has been archaeological evidence uncovered. And that archaeological evidence, which is being debated, it is basically about, let me get it. Yes, I'm pulling up Wikipedia. I'm going to pull up Wikipedia for you. Some people say, oh, no, it's not in a lot, just like with the Asherah tool. And a lot of scholars are saying, oh, it is. What is this? What I'm about to show you in Wikipedia. This is the best information I could find on it at short notice. This is called the Arslan Tash amulet. Arslan Tash amulets. Let me enlarge this. I just thought this was so awesome to see in the Bible that they're calling on Asherah. I love it. I don't love that they're calling on Asherah. I love to be able to get in the Bible and uncover the esoteric and show you guys, look at what they were doing. When a woman couldn't have babies, or when she did have a baby, the Arslan Tash amulet, they would praise a goddess, the goddess Asherah, for protection and basically for fertility. This, I can't make this up. The Aleph, the Shin, and the Resh are the same in Asherah, the name of the goddess. Of course, there's the Hey at the end of Asherah. And we'll get into that. That's been added for other reasons, but at the root, they're identical. Asher, Asherah. Asher, basically the ha means like to breathe life, to bring it into existence. Now you might say, well, wait a minute. In the Ugarit, you said that predates the Hebrew. Let's stay with the root of the word, and then we don't have to go down. We don't have to go off the rails. So Aleph Shin Resh is Asher, which is Asherah. I'm going to read something to you, and then I'll be done. I just thought this is so cool when I figured this out or came across it. Now, I'm not saying I'm the only one. Obviously, there are people who know the name Asher and Asherah and Asher are synonymous. They are. But on the surface, it's told, oh, her son's just happy. That's the name. Asher just happens to be spelled exactly like Asherah. Okay, so let's get this. Let's see here. Where am I? I wanted to read something to you. I'm going to read this, but I need to read. Where is it? Okay. Yes, it's an invocation, 7th century invocation that's used during childbirth. And it's right there how it sounds. It sounds like a song. All right. Let me read this for you guys and you gals. I hope you're just excited about this as I am. Maybe not. I'm just into this kind of stuff. It just gets to me. So the Arslan Tash amulet. These amulets are Assyrian talismans found at Arslan Tash, Turkish Arslan Tash, literally lion stone, in northwest Syria, the site of ancient Hadatu. They are to be distinguished from larger finds such as Arslan Tash reliefs. The inscriptions on the tablets are known as KA127. Now, as always, there's debate about these particular amulets. But I'm going to read this to you because the evidence is so strong that it sounds like a song, what she's saying. If you look at it in the Hebrew, how she keeps repeating it. But I digress. Let me get back to this. In 1933, Robert du Mesnil du Buisson purchased from a peasant 2 inscribed limestone plaques, Arslan Tash 1 and the smaller Arslan Tash 2, which are now in the National Museum of Aleppo. His drawings and photographs, AT1, which is that's Arslan Tash 1, were published in 1939. Count du Mesnil du Buisson made gypsum casts of the tablets, though these are now lost. Description. Since the small rectangular plaque had a hole in one end, it was identified as an amulet. Let me show it to you again. See them up there? For right? Okay. On the obverse is a lamassu, which is a winged lion with a human head and a talismanic figure standing over a she-wolf with a scorpion's tail, a demonic figure, devouring a male or female figure. On the reverse is a marching god with late Assyrian headgear. Oh my gosh, I gotta go sleep. Carrying an axe instead of the expected lightning bolt. The limestone plaque AT1 includes incantations meant to deter demons, hear that? Meant to deter demons from entering the household, and then appeals to such deities as Asher, that's Asherah, Baal, Horon, and to heaven and earth. There's a debate about that Asher, but it's definitely Asherah. Let's keep going. Nevertheless, rather than Asur, some scholars interpret the inscription as referring to the female deity Asherah. Quote, although other scholars like T. Castor, 1942, proposed reading the first god name as Asur rather than Asherah, Cross and Saley, 1970, support the Asherah reading. Mesnil de Buisson and Cacot published AT2 in 1971. It shows a male demon, Imza. It measures 53 by 33 millimeters, and it contains short inscriptions on both sides that are written in the same language and script as the first amulet. The two tablets were dated to the 7th century BCE, and they call upon the sons of to protect the amulet wearers from male stragglers. I think that's supposed to be stranglers. Lamasu, those are demons, and female flyers, Lilith. Now, Lilith is known as the one who comes in, causes sudden infant death, the babies. So protect the babies. So right here, we're going to read this. Translation. Working from Dumesnil and Dubuisson's photographs, and in some cases cast, the text on the plaque AT1 was translated from the Phoenician by Dupont-Sommer, Dupont Summer, 1939, Albright, 1939, Gaster, 1942, 47, Torzener, 1947, Cross and Saley, 1970, Texdor, 1971. So Kako and Rulik, all of these are scholars who translated this and historians, right? So let's read this. The text includes a broken word, which is ili, which with the addition of the T could possibly be analogous to the Hebrew Lilith. Get it? Elita, like Lilith or Lilith, or night and day. I'm not trying to read that right now. Okay. So I'm going to read the English part. AT1. So this is what they see on the amulet. Okay. This is what was translated. Incantation against the flyers. That's Lilith, if you see on the left. Incantation against the flyers. Conjuration of Sasom, son of Pidar. Pronounce the conjuration, and to the stranglers say, the house I enter, you shall not enter. The court I tread, you shall not tread. Eternal covenants were made for us. Asher made them with us, as did every divinity and great one, the council of all our holy ones, by the conjuration of the heavens and the earth, forever by the conjurations of Baal. Prince of the earth by the conjurations of Haron's wife, whose word is true, and her 7 rivals too, and 8 wives of holy Baal. Okay, we're gonna get to that. I think they translate this, but I want to just say it since I read up on this a little bit before I got on here, obviously. So at the end, when you say Haran's wife, this is an actual, I think this is the name of the person. Let me see. Haran was an ancient Egyptian god worshipped in Giza. He was closely associated with Harmashis, with names. Okay, so there's a god named Haran in the Kemetic pantheon. However, when we're looking at this, and we know the origin of it and where it was discovered in Syria, it could be talking about a god. There's a discussion that it was talking about the god, but it also could be the name of the actual person who owned the amulet, who the man has 8 wives. And one of the wives is who is the owner of the amulet. Get it? So just throwing that out there. So when it says the wives of the holy Baal, they're not talking, it's like the title, the holy Lord, or this is just discussion. I'm not saying that's wrong or right. The main thing I want to point out is this is an incantation, a common thing that was done for women and pretty much Israelites to appeal to the goddess Asherah in childbirth and for fertility. Why is this a bomb drop? Why is this really cool information? Because we can see hidden esoterically in the Bible, in Genesis, Leah doing a similar chant or incantation or praise to the goddess Asher. Brilliant. All right, so let's keep going. More of the translation of the inscription. To the flyers in the dark chamber, remember that's referring to Lilith. Pass by immediately this night. In his house, destroyer, go. I have denied access to the opening of this doorway. Let me also say this. I'm going to pause and say this. Even in Kemet, the god Bes is the protector of the children. I read this. I know we got a brother Asaram Khan, a lot of other Kemetic experts who can corroborate this information. They had incantations that they would do, and they would put amulets of Bes around the child. And yes, in the Exodus story, there are similar rituals done with the doorpost, because when I looked at some information, I was doing the prototype is the Kemetic priesthood to the Levitical. There was information that I found in Heka where they would put things on the doorpost. And I don't know for sure if it was blood, but it definitely was the doorpost to guard away from evil spirits such as Lilith and the stranglers of the Shadim. Doesn't that remind you of Kemet and the Exodus story that is written by Israelites? They are doing not only the Kemetic ritual, but even before that, the Canaanite ritual and the the rituals of that land. And here it is. Here's proof. Here's proof right here. And Assyrians. Oh, by the way, duh. Laban was Assyrian in the Bible, or he was Syrian. I forgot to add that beautiful piece. Laban, oh man, Napa, did a coconut just drop on your head? Yes, it did. Let's get back up here and show you. Where was this found? Syria. Wild. Leah is Laban's daughter, and so is Rachel. So here they're praying. Basically, I'm gonna finish reading this, and then I think there's not much more. Yeah, it's a lot. But basically, it's just praying to the gods, especially Asherah. There's a part of this. I'm gonna get the part where it says Asherah. Well, did I already see that? Wait, let me get to it. It says somebody translated as Asher, and then others translated as Asherah. As you see, the different scholars that have translated it and discussed it. Yeah, Asherah, here it is. Eternal covenants were made for us. Asherah made them with us, as did every divinity. Okay, so what do I want to get about? Because I want to be totally transparent about this. There's more. It's about guarding the children mostly. Like, get out of here. Lilith is a destroyer of children. Okay, let me read this. Authenticity. Yes, I want to be transparent with you, darling. The authenticity of amulets AT1 and AT2 have been questioned, particularly by J. Teixeidor and P. Amiet in 1983, who examined the originals in the National Museum of Aleppo. However, Jacobus van Dijk, 1992, defends the tablets as genuine. Dennis Party, 1998, leaves the matter open to question. Okay, so there you go. Let's click on this when it says the thing about defends it, because I want to just read something. Defends the tablet. Let's get this little quote that I saw. 25. Where is it? I clicked on it. I don't feel like clicking on this right now. I'm a little tired, as you can imagine. But there it is. This is when people say, oh, you can't use Wikipedia, all the references are right here. When you look this up, so the name of it again is the Arslan Tash amulets. I use this to show you in the Bible, she's calling on Asherah. She's calling on the goddess Asherah. I want to say thank you so much for coming in and tuning into this series. Yes, SIDS. Yes, that sudden death syndrome. Very tragic. No one knows why. And SIDS, of course, think about the infant mortality rate was way higher. All right, so I want to tell everyone, oh, what is this? Unknown says, and the Lord said unto Moses, I have seen this people, and behold, it is stiff-necked people. Yes. So I'm going to let you go. It's almost 5 a.m. I don't like going to bed at this time because I don't like the sun being up. I have to put on a mask. So let me see here. Not to stop you. Oh, thank you. You reminded me. I'll read this for you. Yes, I will go read this for you because you've asked me very nicely and you're so patient. So let's grab that. You want me to read Galatians 4:21-31. All right, I will. I'll do that. Galatians 4:21. So that was fun, right? The last part, I hope you liked it. I like it because look, you believe that? It's in the Bible. Hidden amongst the trees. Get it? Asherah, the trees. All right, Galatians chapter 4, verse 21-31. Let me screen share this. Oh, excuse me, please. Oh, excuse me. That's so. Can't believe she's not sleeping. Me either. Dun, 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 dun. All right, let's read this for our friend who's asked me several times throughout this stream to do so. All right, let's read this. Let's find out what it's all about. Why? Okay, you said 21, right? Let's read this right now. Tell me, ye that desire to be under the law, do ye not hear the law? For it is written that Abraham had 2 sons, the one by a bondmaid, the other by a free woman. But he who was of the bondwoman was born after the flesh, but he of the free woman was by promise, which things are an allegory, for these are the 2 covenants. The one from Mount Sinai, which gendereth to bondage, which is Hagar. For this Hagar is Mount Sinai in Arabia, and answereth to Jerusalem, which now is and is in bondage with her children. But Jerusalem, which is above, is free, which is the mother of us all. For it is written, rejoice, thou barren that bearest not. Oh, how fitting, because we're talking about Asherah. Break forth and cry, thou that travailest not. For the desolate hath many more children than she which hath an husband. Wow, this is cool because this kind of ties into what I was just reading. Now we, brethren, as Isaac was, are children of promise. But as then he that was born after the flesh persecuted him that was born after the spirit, even so it is now. Nevertheless, what is said in the scriptures? Cast out the bondwoman and her son, for the son of the bondwoman shall not be heir with the son of the free woman. So then, brethren, we are not children of the bondwoman, but of the free. What? Okay, now you said that he's saying that they're Ishmaelites. Not exactly from my interpretation. Now, I don't know if you were asking my interpretation. What I'm seeing is he's talking about Paul is he's often, if not always, saying, listen, we're not going to be doing this where we're just focusing on the Torah and being rigid like the Pharisees and Sadducees, and we're not going to just bar anybody who is not bloodline Israel. We're going to bring everybody in. And so what he's using in a very clever, interesting way is to say the children of the covenant of the Torah would be like synonymous with the children of Hagar. But the children of the spirit who are above the flesh and the Torah and don't stay rigid with the Torah, we are can be considered the children of the free woman. So right here it says, my little children of whom travail. Wait. Yeah, did I read that already? Did you say 21? I desire to present you now, I'm at 20, to present you now and to change my voice, for I stand in doubt. Let's go to the top. Let's read from the top. Let's see what I'm talking about, if I'm onto something. So it says, now I say that the heir, as long as he is a child, differs nothing from a servant, though he be Lord of all. So it's saying the little child, even if he's the Lord, like the king child or the prince child, he doesn't differ from the servant. Get it? Even if he's the servant, he's new, and he is the king. Yeah, you're the top nation, Israel. But hey, hold on now. The Gentiles are the servant, and you're no different than them. See, that's Paul's rhetoric often. So he goes on to say, but he said that the heir is, as long as he is a child, is no different from his servant, though the heir is the Lord of all. But the heir is under tutors and governors until the time appointed of the father. So see, it's like you've become humbled, even though you're the top nation. You guys gotta, come on. We're doing something new here. It's a new covenant. It's a Pauline doctrine. We're doing this new thing. We're not focusing on Torah only. I'm not saying don't do Torah, but y'all are getting too rigid with this Torah thing, and you're way too rigid trying to say we don't let in Gentiles. Stop being so xenophobic. Then he goes on to 3 to say, even so, when we were children, we're in bondage under the elements of the world. He's like, don't forget, we weren't always like the top nation. We were suffering in Kemet. We weren't. Come on, y'all. Don't be mean. Don't be unfair. Don't be greedy and stingy with this, with the good news, with this covenant of Christ. But when the fullness of the time was come, God sent forth his son, made of a woman, made under the law. So now he's equating right there, see? Made of a woman, saying flesh and blood, material flesh and blood is the law. See? Where he's saying Hagar is the law. When we get further down, he's like, made of the woman, made under the law, to redeem them that were under the law, that we might receive the adoption of sons. And because ye are sons, God hath sent forth the spirit of his sons into your hearts, crying, Abba, Father. Wherefore thou art no more a servant, but a son. And if a son, then an heir of God through Christ. So chill out. You guys were, when you didn't know God, you were, wait, let me get back. Wherefore you were guys, basically it's like, you guys were just sons. And then an heir of God through Christ. You guys weren't anything till Jesus came and took away your sins. So you were just the sons, like the flesh with the Torah. But once Christ came, then you became the heirs of God, not just a basic son. Howbeit then, when ye knew not God, ye did service unto them which by natures are no gods. Y'all are tripping, he's saying. This is perfect. I'm so glad you asked me to read this. Remember I said it went all the way up to even beyond the time of Christ, because we got Paul. Paul's like, you guys are worshiping other gods here. So don't be all judgmental with the Gentiles. Because you Israelites, yeah, you're of the bloodline, but you guys are of the flesh. You don't act all high and mighty. Verse 9. But now, after ye have known God, or rather are known of God, how turn ye again to the weak and beggarly elements, whereunto ye desire again to be in bondage? He's like, why are you guys? Look, we had Christ, we have Jesus came. Y'all are going back onto this bondage of, oh, they're not Israelites. Oh, they got to get circumcised. Oh, that's a Torah. I'm talking about what Paul is saying in this. This isn't my feelings. This is my interpretation of the text, which is, I'm going to say, probably accurate. Of course, we'll have another 1,000 people interpret it completely differently than I do. But you asked me a question about this, right? So, verse 10. Ye observe days and months and times and years. I am afraid of you, lest I have bestowed upon you labor in vain. Brethren, I beseech you, be as I am, for I am as ye are. Ye have not injured me at all. Ye know how through infirmity of the flesh I preached the gospel unto you at the first. So he's like, look, guys, look, I'm human. Y'all know how my knees be hurting and my back, and I've got asthma. He's like, you know how through infirmity of flesh I preached the God, but I kept on going. I preached the gospel. And my temptation, which was in my flesh, ye despised not, nor rejected. But you received me as an angel of God, even as Christ Jesus. He's like, don't forget also, basically, I was over here killing you guys, hunting you down. I was actually the Hebrew hunter killer. Okay. And you guys, you love me. So he's talking to them like, will you stop banging and tripping about the Gentiles? So 15, he goes, whereas then the blessed ye spake of. Well, he said, where is then the blessedness ye spake of? For I bear you record that if it had been possible, ye would have plucked out your own eyes and given them to me. Y'all were loving me. That's what he's saying. Even though I was in the flesh, I was all about that Torah. I was like, nope, I got to get you. I got to get these Hebrew. I'm a Hebrew hunter. You guys would pluck out your eyes for me now. Am I therefore become your enemy? What about me? Huh? You guys want to go against the Gentiles? What about me? Am I therefore become your enemy because I tell you the truth? They zealously affect you. They zealously affect you, but not well. Yea, they would exclude you, that ye might affect them. But it is good to be zealously affected, always in good thing, and not only when I am present with you. He's like, you guys are doing good, though. I get it. I know you love the Lord. I know you love the Torah. My little children, of whom I travail in birth again until Christ be formed in you. He's like, listen, guys, I desire to be present with you now and to change my voice, for I stand in doubt of you. Uh-oh. He's like, you guys, come on. Now this is where you ask me. So then he starts breaking it down. Like, I'm going to talk to you guys. You come over here. I'm being serious. Okay? Tell me, ye that desire to be under the law. Okay, you guys want to go, this law thing, circumcision. Oh, you don't want the Gentiles around. So tell me, ye that desire to be under the law. Do you not hear the law? For it is written that Abraham had 2 sons. He's like, that's in the Torah too. The one by a bondmaid and the other by a free woman. But he who was of the bondwoman was born after the flesh. Paul always makes it like Torah is it's about the flesh. And he's right about that, though. The Torah is about governing the flesh. He's like, Christ really wasn't about all that, but Christ was about keeping the Torah. Paul was about keeping the Torah, but Paul is saying, you guys are like the bondwoman after the flesh. But he of the free woman was about that promise, about the covenant. Not the covenant that is of the Torah with the law, but the covenant which is of Christ, which is the Messiah who has come and relieved us from our death, from all sin. That's the promise he's talking about. Which things are an allegory? He's saying, I'm using, this is an allegory, y'all. For these are two covenants. The one from Mount Sinai, which is the Torah, which gendereth to bondage. It's like, that Torah's got you all wrapped up in trying to, why are you focusing on that? Stop trying to ask them to circumcise. They're here. They're with us. They're grafted in. You guys are like Hagar. I'm using an allegory though. That's what Paul's saying. For this, Hagar is Mount Sinai in Arabia and answers to Jerusalem, which y'all know what happened in Jerusalem, right? It's now, and it's in bondage with her children, right? He's saying that. But Jerusalem, which is above, he said, but the real Jerusalem, the Jerusalem that's not under siege, that's not under bondage, the Jerusalem that's nobody's got our foot on our neck, that's a spiritual Jerusalem. And that's the one that's above and free. And that's the mother of us all. That makes me think of Asherah, but I know he's not saying that. When they said the mother goddess, but I know he's not saying that. Anyway, 27, he says, for it is written, rejoice, thou barren that bearest not. Break forth and cry, thou that travailest not. He's talking about what Christ said. When Christ said, woe unto those who are who are with child. For the desolate hath many more children than she with hath an husband. The desolate has more children than the one who has a husband. So I think I'm going on and on about this, but you get what I'm saying. That's what I interpret that as. I mean, look at what you said. I read it. I interpreted it. He's not calling them literal Ishmaelites. He's talking about the covenant of the Torah and how the Israelites were so rigid and a lot of them didn't want Gentiles to be grafted in. Shalom, celestial jurisdiction. Asar Shechem. Wasn't the covenant on Mount Sinai with Moses, who he says he's representing Hagar? See how he's saying that? I love that question. I wasn't looking. You're getting it. Get it? He's talking about the Torah. He's not really talking about Hagar, but he's using Hagar he's using it as allegory. Great question. He's talking about the Torah. There, right in your question, there's the answer of what he's talking. Wasn't the covenant on Mount Sinai with Moses, the Israelites, who he's saying represent Hagar? That's a great question because it's showing, yeah, he's saying to the Israelites, y'all are like Hagar. You're the bond woman. You're the slave woman. You're bound by flesh and blood and Torah. Jesus Christ has come and set us free from that. That is Pauline doctrine. Paul never, ever has put the Torah, nope. Saul put the Torah first, and he talks about it in there. Saul, before he was Paul, remember, I was El, and now I'm Yahweh. I'm not trying to be funny, but Saul, before he was Paul, is the same man, but he changed. Saul was about Torah. He was literally hunting Hebrews and bringing them to justice. And justice wasn't getting locked up. Y'all know what it was. It was, it was rough. Because what was to acknowledge Christ as the Son of God was pure blasphemy. It was idolatry, and that was a capital punishment. So let's get what E1B1 Afro says. Paul is just telling the people in the church, Gentiles and Jews just need to have faith in Christ. Yeah, pretty much. Thank you, Tahuti. Thank you. All praise to the Most High, the unfathomable God. That makes sense how you explained it. I'm so glad that you get that. Peace. Oh, is this Zion? Let me let you know what happened. Something happened with YouTube with the video. Sonetter said that they told him he had to take it down because something about I didn't even see you put the boy in the coffin. I never even saw that. So we have to try to take it down and edit it out if YouTube will let us re-upload it. I didn't even see you do that though. But Sonetter told me yesterday. So I was gonna contact you. I haven't gotten around to it. But yeah. I never saw you do that though. I must have missed it or been, not looking. Anyway, peace, shalom, Zion. That was a very great build. So I have to go edit it. And I'm going to let you know for next time if you do the presentation on another channel, don't put that image in there because either somebody flagged it or YouTube just said it was offensive. Okay. Nonetheless, I will be taking it. I will be, unfortunately, going to lose the chat, which sucks that's why I like to put the chat on the screen. Sign Editor doesn't like that. But once I edit that part out, which is, I think that's all that was the offensive part, we can re-upload it and have it, put it back up there. Okay, last but not least, thank you everybody for listening. Matthew, it's okay, I posted it to my YouTube. Yes, I should. Yeah, you might be careful. I don't know about, you know how they look at Sonetter's channel a lot. You might get away with it if your channel doesn't have a lot, but I would at least blur it. I would at least blur it. So I got to go in and either blur it. You know what? I think I can blur it and not lose the chat actually. Okay, cool. All right. So let's read this and then I'm going to close out. But you know what? I didn't even see it. Sonetter told me this. So I didn't even see you did that. What in the hell were you doing anyway? I would have said something. So I'm not laughing at that, but I was like, what? I didn't see him do that. He said, well, that's what happened with the video. YouTube, there was whatever. We didn't get a strike, but we could either put it on I don't even think we could put it on 18 or over. I'm just gonna blur it just to be safe. And I would tell you to do, I would recommend you do that too. All right. And we need to do part 2. So let's get to with Sonetter. He's interested, by the way. It's there. I know I did not see that. Why? I don't even know when you did that. But we'll talk about it next time we do another show on it because we do need to keep the conversation going about that. Let me read what Known Unknown says. Matthew 3:9. Don't think you can say Abraham is our ancestor. I can guarantee that God can raise up descendants for Abraham from these stones. And that is the word of the Lord Christ. I'm going to end the stream on House of Consciousness Coliseum and play a song on my channel. I'm gonna let you guys know, Sonetter does not like my song. He said it doesn't, he said it's, what did he say? Let me see how he said it. He goes, I don't like your song, your theme song. You got to change it to make it more. He said it has to be more. He didn't say it like this, but he said, quote, my audience is predominantly Black, which was kind of offensive for me because I'm Black. Granted, I do have a multicultural background, but it's funny to me because he's like, my audience is Black. And some people, nobody complained about my song, but he likes to throw that out there. It's like some people were like complaining. Nobody complained about my song, but I'm going to follow his requests. I did want to share this to my beloved House of Consciousness audience, but because I'm going to play my song, I'm going to end it on the HOK Coliseum and just play it on my channel and my Glow channel. Before I do, did you think I forgot? Heck no. This is a debate that's coming up. Reggie versus Jabari. Get your tickets. Get your tickets now. The ticket donation price is $40. After Saturday, it's going up. You can thank Rakufu for keeping it at $40 this long. Because our brother Rakufu, once he gets his ticket Saturday, I guaranteed him that he can lock in the $40. After that, the price is going up on the tickets. And they will continue to go up until the day of the event. We're going to have these two giants going face to face. You can view it online. Of course, it's an online event. But Reggie is in New York. Jabari is in New York. They're both in Harlem. They both will go together in the House of Consciousness at the ISUPK Israel School of universal knowledge, practical knowledge, I should say. They will be there on the 11th of July. Don't miss it. If you're there in New York, or you can get to New York, you better get there and go there. You better enjoy this. But most of us will be online watching it. It's coming up. All right, everybody, peace and love. I'm going to end this on the Colosseum, and then I'm going to play my cool song. My song is so cool. Let me show this. There's the Pantheon. Thank you so much for joining. Have a great day. Peace and love. Love and peace. Come on over to my channel, the R.I.S.E channel, if you want to hear my awesome theme song, or the Glow channel. Peace, everybody. Removing it from the house of consciousness. All right. And wait a minute. You know what I'm going to do instead? Oops, I'm glad I didn't remove it. I'm not going to remove it. I'm not going to remove it. What I'm going to do, yeah, actually I am going to remove it because it's still on YouTube. All right. Peace and love. Going to play my theme song now. I really like this song for those who are with me still. They're missing out. This is my outro song. Peace.
Good looking now, keep getting clout. This is what it's about. We love teaching. There is no time. They programmed your mind. Construction blind. We not sleeping. Come join the love, come join the fun, and call it education. Let's get profound. Let's uncover all of the deep arcane things. Good looking out. Good looking out. Good looking out. In that pursuit out. Come join the love, come join the fun, and call it education. Let's get profound. Let's uncover all of the deep arcane things. Good looking out.